Hey everybody, Pastor Zach. Thanks so much for spending some time with me this morning in our weekly discussion. As always, it's a time for you to come and to share some conversation with me wherever you are, wherever life is finding you today. I invite you to hop on, ask questions, comment, share what's going on in your life. I posted about unity and what does that mean to you? And I did that because this past Sunday we talked about unity and what does it mean? What does it mean for the church? And is unity this notion of that everyone agrees? And it's not. Unity is not that. Throughout the Bible and throughout history, we see this understanding of the notion of unity as people who have differing views, differing understandings, yet who are able to find common ground, who are able to work together, and who build together through their differences. St. Paul talks about the body of Christ and how we are knit together as different parts, woven so that we can continue to share the gifts that we have, share our uniqueness with the body, just as the whole body is knit together. And so I encourage you to go check that out. While the sermon itself is not quite up yet, the whole service is, so you could watch it, fast forward through if you don't want to see everything, but there's some great music on that as well. But it's this opportunity to see our differences as ways to be grateful, to be connected, to see those opportunities, those differences as ways to learn, as ways to grow as needed, because that helps us live into the world. It helps us see things differently. If we wouldn't have had that, we would have never reached the moon. We would have never had the automobile. We'd probably still be living in caves. So those opportunities, those ways for us to live in community invite us to this connection that is deeper than just being nearby. The opportunity to gather with you here online, wherever you are this day, wherever this finds you. You're not here with me on site at Allegheny. You're wherever you are, whether it's getting ready for work or at home or in the process of going somewhere. You are there. And without this idea, this technology, we wouldn't be able to connect. And those who watch it later wouldn't be able to connect. So it's this opportunity for us to share where we are, to share our joys, to share concerns, to share frustrations, but to not let them overwhelm us either, because it's something that we have an opportunity to connect with. We have an opportunity to live into, to be engaged in conversation with one another, to find hope with, and to recognize that it's the differences that make us stronger. It's the differences that allow us to live in this amazing world that we have, with the diversity that we have, with all that we have, to be able to find ways to live and to move forward and to be engaged in the world. And I think that's pretty powerful, because it invites us to see the world differently. In our gospel this past Sunday, Jesus talks about him and God being one, and that then we are one. And it's this really fascinating transition time between when Jesus ascends, so after his death, after his crucifixion, after his burial, when he rises, and then when he goes back to be with God. Jesus is praying that the disciples, that we as the church will not be left alone, and that we are called to continue to live together in this understanding of unity, of care for one another. And I think it's something that desperately needs to be reviewed, desperately needs to be seen as important for our world. It's not that, hey, we should all get together and sing Kumbaya and everybody agree with everything. That's not what it means. It means that we all have different ways of seeing. And so how then are we able to live and to move and to interact with one another, knowing that we disagree, knowing that we have different views, but with the opportunity to have conversations, to learn from one another, and to grow into this understanding of what it means to live in this world, to live as community, and to be engaged in the world. And I think it's so important for us to remember that and to live into that, and to realize that whatever church you may attend, people aren't always going to agree. We're not always going to see eye to eye. We're not always going to get it the way we get it, the way each other gets it. But that doesn't mean we can't worship together. It doesn't mean we can't have fellowship together. And it doesn't mean that we can't still learn together. In fact, Jesus celebrated differences. Jesus invited the people of the world to be engaged, to care for one another. And when people were struggling, those were the ones that Jesus went to. When those that were cast out by society, those were the ones that Jesus stood with, to show them, to show us what it means to live in unity. I had a colleague of mine, he posted that, someone was asking that, why would God allow this world, all the trouble in the world to happen? And it was a quote from someone, and it said, well, why do we? Why do we let the hate happen? Why do we let the anger happen? And anger is emotion. We all have it. We're all imperfect people. All of us. None of us are perfect. And so what does that mean for me? What does that mean for you? What does it mean for us to live in community? What if what I says angers you? Yeah, you can go and you can tweet stuff, or you can, put horrible stuff about me on Facebook or wherever you have social media. But if I did something to upset you, coming to me and having a conversation with me will let me understand where you're coming from. I saw this the other day where someone who lives in a neighborhood was wanting to know who to call because their neighbor's dogs were barking. And I restrained myself from going, go knock on their door. Start there, rather than wanting to know how to call the cops. And maybe they did, and I don't know, but I think it's this opportunity for us to see what is going on in the world, to see what is objectified in the world, to see what gets all of the hits, because that's what it is. That's what we see. We are given that which everybody wants to see because it's newsworthy or it's click-worthy or whatever, because it's either horrible or silly, and it's that extreme that just keeps getting ramped up because that's what people want. And if we all took a step back and realized that's not all the other side like that, that's not all this, that's not all that, then we might be able to realize that we're closer than we realize, that our understandings are there. And yes, there are some that are far out there on those fringes, but that doesn't mean they're not deserving of being listened to. They don't have to change your mind. Hopefully they would give you the respect to listen. Maybe they wouldn't. Maybe you wouldn't change their mind, and that's okay. But having that dialogue, having that ability to have a conversation with someone is powerful. Being willing to say, hey, can we talk? I want to understand. I want to hear where you are coming from. And if you don't want to hear from me, that's fine. I would appreciate it at some point, but it doesn't have to be today. What would it look like if we were able to do that just once this week or twice? How would it impact your week differently? If someone that you struggled with about something, that you were willing to take that step towards unity and to reach out. There's a great song I had trouble finding it, and I talk about this on Sunday. It's a song initially by Martin Garrix, but with Bono and U2 in it. And the refrain goes, "We are the people we've been waiting for." And I was struck by that, but I twisted it, I paraphrased it, and I changed it to go, "We are the people that God has been waiting for." Here and now, in this world, in this moment, there's nobody else, wherever you are, that God is waiting for other than you to be engaged in the work that God has for you. And if you're struggling to understand what that means for your life, if you're uncertain of what it means, if you're not sure, if you had difficulty with your faith, let's talk. I am here. You found me online, so that means we can connect one way or another. So I invite you into that conversation. We can do it digitally. We can do it through video. Or hey, if you want to come on and have a discussion in front of everybody with me, we can do that too. That would be great. So I would have a joy to have a conversation with one of you during one of my weekly discussions, and actually have a one-on-one discussion. I know I did that many years ago with Pastor Becca Ehrlich, who wrote a book. That was a really cool book and a really cool time. So I think we can grow from this. I think we can learn. And as much as I hear people go, "I don't see how this is going to get better," I do. Because I know people care. I know people can come together. I've seen it. It doesn't have to just happen after tragic events or during tragic events. It can happen in a moment and in a minute. And we can put aside those things that are different, and we can serve the world. And so when we have those conversations, we start building that opportunity, those ways to grow and to be strengthened and to engage the world around us differently. So I want to thank you all. I saw Mike and Nikki, Gail, and Michael on this morning. Thank you guys for spending some time with me today. Feel free to comment, question, go against me, go for it. I'd love to hear that feedback too, and what you think. If it's impacted you, I invite you to share it far and wide today, so that you might know of someone that this might help. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. And we'll see you next week. As always, if you have a comment, you can leave it, or you can message me directly if you have an idea for one of these, or if you want to join us for worship. We worship on Sundays. We are switching our times now. So it's 8:15 with the service of the word, which is shorter service. So there's no communion and no music, or a 9:30 combined service. We are sharing our musicians over the summer. So come and join us. This Sunday is Pentecost. So wear red, have some fun, and we'll see you then. Take care, everybody. Have a great week. God bless.